Howdy partners, OM here. Today we're going to be going over some loadouts. Specifically, we'll be covering traits and loadouts to help you improve your game out on the bayou, whether through solo or teams play. I play about 50-50 solo versus trios. Why you might want to listen to me beyond that, as you can see down at the bottom of the screen, I am a 6-star as of March 2024. I usually hold between at least a 5 and 6-star. Been playing this game since a few months after it came out, logged about 4,000 hours in it, so I've got the maps down really well, and these traits kind of go in combo with map knowledge, especially on the solo side of things, and then on the team side of things, just what works best in a specific situation. And now, without further ado, hopefully these tips help you out on the bayou. Let's start with the Tier 3 Level 1 Hunter, and we'll work up to the more complex builds from there, starting with our friend Frida Engel. Zooming in on the traits here, you want to match your traits with your loadout. In this case, this is a team build loadout for me, so that's why I prioritize things to help my team, like the Necromancer trait there. But rate of fire is really important in this game. So that's why I have levering, kind of cover you in the close, medium, short. You're going to lose to a shotgun though if they get the hit. And then Iron Eye, so you can keep aiming down sights. And then Poacher on teams, because if you're going to be setting traps, then you want them to be silent because you're going to be close up. On solo may not be as important, and we'll get into that later. But this is a team build here. Zooming in on the loadout here, you'll see we've got the Winfield Centennial, not the best rifle for the levering trait, but I still grabbed the levering trait. I'm using the Centennial just to switch it up a bit, but I do know that the other Winfield obviously is the better if you're going to be doing that. You definitely get more range on the Winfield Centennial. It will headshot people quite a ways out, especially if you add a full metal jacket to it. So with the levering and the Iron Eye, I include a sword. You could include like a Scottfield, some medium ammo would be another suggestion so that you get a better ammo pool. But I like to optimize my loadout for flexibility and things, and the sword will provide me with a really close range option with the levering, pushing it out to kind of short medium, and then the Iron Eye and the regular fire mode for the Centennial, giving me my longer shots. So that's kind of the rationale there. With the sword, I do not need a melee weapon, so I've replaced the melee with my choke bomb so people don't get upset and leave, because they often do that if you don't have your choke bomb. So I'll include a choke bomb or choke bugle if I'm playing on teams usually, but even though I rarely need it, especially with Necromancer, I'm pretty good at using the Necromancer. You watch some of my other videos and see that without getting my teammate killed often. So that's the reason for that. I am running traps. I usually always run the death traps. There's really no reason not to, except for money or getting your teammates killed, but that's why I use them. They usually trap up down hunters afterwards, not really to get in the way of my teammate or the trap doors and lock down a place. So that's the reason for that. Something you're going to see me do is run a nade or explosive on every loadout. I never go into a match, and I suggest that you do not go in without an explosive. They come in too handy for so many things. People pushing you, you throw one down, it keeps them off your track a little bit if you need to. Explosives just come in handy in so many situations, especially the nade. My default is the nade, but a regular stick of cheap-ass dynamite will work well for you too, if anything. And then I almost always go for the antidote shot. I mean, really no reason not to. It gives you 20 minutes of protection against poison. I wait to pop that later in the match usually, because you're not going to be really needing it in the beginning, so don't waste it then, and then it's running out before you need it. Save it till a little later in the match. Try to hit up supply point, replace it, and then also, since I'm running the sword, I did go with a stamina shot as well. And then, of course, always with the healths, I do the standard there. Playing on the Xbox Series X, I place my healths in the second slot because it puts them in the easiest position to get to. So this first one's probably going to be a little longer going over some of these details, except for some of my later loadouts. I'm going to show you some level 50 hunters. Those might take a little longer to go through, but as we cover the traits, I'm not going to repeat everything. I'll kind of just cover maybe the differences. Okay, moving on to let's show a solo build here. I am saving the best for last. I'm going to show you my meta primo, in my opinion, the best solo loadout that you can have, at least for a particular playstyle, being a sniper as a solo. And I'll show some more close range solo slash teams build. So anyway, let's get to this guy who is going to be not totally maxed out yet, but we got a few more traits here. So we're going to kind of work up a little bit like in the complexity, starting with our first solo guy. With a solo build, I'm going to prioritize mobility first. So you can see I have Greyhound and Gator Legs. I almost always go for those almost right off the bat. I'm not going to go for those unless I've also got enough to get my Scope Smith, because that's pretty important in my opinion, although there are advantages to not having it and getting a wider view whenever you come out of your shot. So there are pros and cons to that. Just get it out of the way. I would never grab Poison Sense. That will be getting deleted to make space. This hunter came with the Poison Sense. I'm pretty sure that's the only way to end up with it. The same kind of with the Kite Skin. It's actually a really conditional trait, but it can really help you out in a pinch. I've used it to escape other hunters, jumping out of high windows, especially as a solo. But again, I might delete that to make space for a more preferable trait later on. Finally, on this guy, crossbows are not my favorite, but I do have Bolt Thrower. I'm switching it up a bit with this guy. I'm going to show you my favorite build later, though. So starting with the smaller builds and working our way up. I definitely prefer using Gator Legs and Greyhound over using like Conduit to depend on that. That only helps you kind of in the beginning of a match if you're lucky and somebody doesn't spawn on the boss, and then it's kind of pointless. People love that trait, but they've nerfed it. I think it's still popular maybe. I really don't know why. It's way too inconsistent for me personally. Stamina shots can come in super handy though if you use them strategically. Looking at the loadout here, you can see how the loadout and the traits, they complement each other. I normally don't go with the Spitzer rounds, but as you can see, I got those for free. I know people love them. Honestly, I hate them. I'd rather just go with the regular round and then be able to restock them easier, and you get more damage per round as well. I went with the Death Traps again. I usually always run those. Why not? You get some free kills. You can see not much different, so I won't over-explain it here, but I do have the crossbow. I do go with the Poison Bolt because it'll pretty much just make certain AI just kind of meaningless, along with the regular bolt that you can use to get it back and kind of move through the AI silently. If you don't use that, I recommend Silent Killer. I don't know if I got a character I'm going to go over here with that, but I always have a way to take out the AI silently. It'll help you immensely. Quick note on the Berthier here, if you take 2 different rounds, you can reload one round by pushing up on the D-pad, on Xbox at least anyway, without having the bullet grubber trait, and then reloading the round that you'd like to have. It takes a little time, but keeps you from wasting a round. Next, let us go ahead and cover a Tier 3 shotgunner for a team build. Isolating weapons, there's a little bit of novelty to this loadout. As you'll notice that I don't have a melee weapon. The reason for that is my melee is on my shotgun, so there is no need to reproduce it, even though it uses a lot of stamina. But you'll notice I counter that by bringing 2 stamina shots. So you can do unique things like this to allow you to do things like bring a death trap and still bring your choke bombs. So that's the reason why I'm doing that there. When I use a shotgun, I like to take quartermaster so that I can run a medium-sized rifle, or in this case, I've taken the Caldwell conversion uppercut, the precision version. That's a really good combo. You could take any number of things with this though, like a Winfield, or the Centennial Shorty, all kinds of options. I would not recommend dual wield because that's more of a medium short range option, and I go for flexibility again. So I've got shotgun covering the short range, and I've got the Caldwell Precision uppercut covering my more long range shots, or medium long, I'd say. But you can stretch that out by using like a Centennial Shorty with FMJs, and you can make some long range headshots as well. So all kinds of options that you can do there. Another option is not use quartermaster and just bring a pistol to give you that range again. More for compound fighting is what that'd be for. Well, we've already explained some of my rationale for the rest of my loadout here on the tools and the bombs and stuff. So again, there's my nade. Taking a look at the traits, we already mentioned quartermaster, and the reason why I do that, we've got bullet grubber. I think this character came with it because I usually do not grab that. You get plenty of ammo, as I find, across the map, or you can bring an ammo box. Actually, looking at the bullet grubber trait here, it would have been better to probably bring a Mosin in that medium slot, the Mosin Obrez, because then you're taking full advantage of your bullet grubber, and you've got your ultra long range there, or your true long range, I'd say. And then if you're going to run death traps, it is always a good idea to run the pack mule trait. I suggest, lay down 2 traps. Try not to use up your consumables, like your shots, until you really need them. Because if you're laying down traps, 2 traps with pack mule, you're going to resupply both your traps, so you can stay pretty well stocked up. If you're doing a team build like this one is, you're going to want the poacher trait that we talked about earlier, so you can lay them down silently, or just everybody's going to hear you laying your traps down. They're going to be pretty much worthless because they're going to know they're there. Now that we've established some of my rationale for building these loadouts, let's just take a quick look at some of these. With this one, he's got the Slate shotgun, the best shotgun in the game, even better than the Crown King, I believe. Just seems like it's got a little better control, it's cheaper, and just a really good all-round shotgun. You'll notice that I have the pack mule trait, which is one of my first go-tos for a team build, especially if you're running the traps. Again, I've already explained that. I've got the necromancer trait, again, because of the team build. And then once I establish that for a team build, unlike with my solo builds, I kind of place the mobility trait secondary to weapon traits and team traits on a team build. But then I'll start going for the mobility traits. And then after that, I have what I call the Gucci traits, things like doctor, physician, stuff like that, that really you don't need to have an effective game, but really can help you out later on. So those may be some of the first go-tos for people. I leave doctor and physician alone until I'm about halfway through, while we get my traits, as you'll see, and then again, poacher. Couple of quick notes. You notice I bring the choke beetle there to make up for not taking the choke bombs. Again, I've already explained that. And then I've got the FMJ on my pistol to extend the range on the shots and the effectiveness. Plus you get more penetration. So I love FMJ. It would be smart to grab the silent killer trait soon after this as well to give you the silent kills. All right, another quick one here. We've got the ever popular and classic Lebel. We've got that combined with the Iron Eye. You definitely want to get Iron Eye, especially with your bolt action rifles, because they fire slow enough and it increases it just enough, to give you an edge. I was actually in the Army, and the Army did studies on, really, it's not the caliber of a weapon that matters so much. If it's a lethal type round, it is the rate of fire that soldiers can put down range that really determined who won battles. So I kind of tried to take some of those concepts into video game playing as well, and it obviously helps, or it wouldn't be a thing in the game to increase the rate of fire. So everybody's pretty much going for that one first. And then we've got the quartermaster, so I can carry the shorty hand cannon here, Romero. It's always nice to get those double option on the rounds there, and I think I'm running the Dragon's Breath just for the fun of it. Sometimes you've got those challenges that require you to burn hives and stuff. plus just kind of fun to play around with. Since it is the hatchet version, I can go ahead and replace my melee with choke bombs. And then I can run my death traps, as I obviously like to do, without scaring off my other teammates, not thinking that I'm going to put them out in a fire. However, I'm not to brag on myself. I'm usually pretty good at resin, so if I can get in range to use a choke bomb, I'm usually getting in range to go ahead and res you. So I rarely use the choke bombs for that. But still, you don't want to run teammates off. You want to look like a team player. Then rounding it out with Necromancer, and with my health bar set up, I go ahead and take a regen shot so that whenever I have to res somebody in Necromancer, then I pop my regen shot and I don't have to keep wasting my health. And if I have to keep resing people, hopefully I still got a little bit of my regen shot left. So that is the reason for that. And then the stamina shot, because I'm running the hatchet and it uses a lot of stamina with that replacement. So that's the reason for that, and I've already explained the nades. One more quick overview. Let's cover this because I'm using the drilling here and that provides some unique opportunities. The drilling is a quick succession 2-shot. So since you only have 2 shots, I combine it with the quick firing. I believe that is the officer, the gaunt officer to be more specific. So if I run out of rounds in that, then I'll switch over to that. So it kind of covers you on the issue with that only having 2 rounds in it. Plus you got your shotgun round. Anyway, with this loadout, you don't need any weapon traits, so I focus on mobility, and then my Necromancer as usual, and then Kite Skin, I'll grab that one just for the 1 point if I've got an extra point hanging around, and again, we've already talked about the Pat Mule and the use with the traps here, and then, any combination of consumables that you want to use. In this case, I'm running the antidote shot. It's always a good one to take, as I mentioned earlier. Well, here she is, one of my favorite characters. My tier 3 characters is the hooded female here. And one of my favorite builds is the solo sniper build, and I'm going to go over why I use it this way, and I'll talk about some variations, some ways you can change it up using like the sparks, for example, and how you might do that if you're going to do the sparks. Quite effective with that as well. I know a lot of people consider solo snipers rats, but fuck them. I can play really well on teams, and I can play really well with the solo long game as well. I've got a whole series on my YouTube channel. It's just me taking pretty long range headshots. I'd say I've got probably one of the best collections of long range headshots online on YouTube. Some of you may have already seen that. Zooming into the loadout here, we'll start with the Mosin. Needs no introduction. It's been around since early in the game. Now, they didn't have the sniper rifle variant in the beginning. I believe it was just iron sights in the early days. But they soon added the scopes, for better or worse. I know they weren't real popular with a lot of people, and a lot of people think they should be taken out. But it's one of my favorite parts of the game, is getting that 250, 300 meter headshot. 1 shot, 1 kill, and then kind of bragging about it. I don't know, it's just kind of fun. I can get several, in a day that way. But anyway, the Mosin, since it's a multi-shot sniper rifle, you don't really need to bring like a single pistol so that you can follow it up if you have like just a single shot rifle like your Sparks or your Springfield. Although I do like to play with those every now and then. They're highly effective rifles, especially if you're going for a headshot most of the time. You only need 1 round. But for example, you would add a pistol if you're using one of those and not the dual wield. Now moving on down to the dual wield, these are the GOATs as far as AI goes. And they work pretty handsomely against hunters as well, believe it or not. But they're especially good for solo sniper. Take out the AI silently. You combine it with the poison bullets here, and it will mow through every single AI except the hives. Then the hives just take a few extra rounds. If you hit them in the head, it only takes 1 round. But yeah, I'm going to post another video of me melting through AI with these things. I've already got one where kind of show that a little bit. but you cannot do any better than the dual silenced Nagants with poison rounds to go against AI. It will mow down meatheads, it will one-shot immolators, it will one-shot the water devils, it will one-shot grunts, it'll two-shot the armoreds. I mean, nothing compares to them. So then moving on down to my tools and consumables here. So yeah, since I've got the dual wield with the poison, I do not need knuckles. A lot of times I go with the knuckle knife, just a good all-rounder, but I don't need it here, so I'm going with the power in case I need to switch over to my melee against a hunter. I've got, I believe, the best weapon for that. You got a wide swing, and that is the large knife here. So it's got a good swing, does a lot of damage, and it just looks cool with this legendary one here. And then if you're running a solo hunter, you got to go with the death traps. Because now I still grab, as I'll show you here in a second, the poacher trait. But with a solo build, you're going to be off in the distance a lot of times, so you might be able to do away with that because you're not going to be up close all the time. That's where I don't consider myself a rat as a sniper, because I will get up and close and personal with people, even with this build here. Got some videos online of me effectively using the dual wield against hunters. I've kind of mastered that because I used it as a crutch in the beginning, and I got pretty good at using them, honestly. So anyway, yeah, I mean, running your death traps, there is no reason not to, unless you're just trying to switch it up and have a little fun otherwise. Other than that, you can get yourself a lot of free kills. Believe it or not, I actually got, I think, 12 kills in one match with them from people getting rezzed in my traps, apparently. Probably trying to D-rank on top of that, but yeah, you get a lot of kills. Now the ammo box and the consumables, a lot of times I will run a small antidote shot along with the large one. And that 30 minutes will cover you pretty much for the entirety of 90% of matches. Especially hold off a little bit in the beginning, because you shouldn't be running across poison except for the hives right off the bat, but you know, nothing that you're really going to need them for. With this health layout, I could get by with a small health, but I'm using the large one just to flex the legendary and make it look prettier. But if you've got a big bar, two small bars, a big bar, pretty much a small vitality shot will heal you up, so you don't really need it. And then again, the nade. So now let's go take a look at the traits. Taking a look at the traits here, I'm going to start with not necessarily in order. I'm going to cover them in the order that I would grab them first. So if I have a tier 3 hunter, for example, I want to state this. I know this sounds stupid, but if I end up with like a doctor trait, for example, I'm going to sell that back off the bat and get all those points so that I can buy some traits that I think are more beneficial when you're first starting with your hunter. Because the doctor trait's one of the last traits I grab, if ever. Because if you're playing a solo build, honestly, you rarely need it. So kind of takes up a space for such an expensive Gucci type trait. So I'll sell it, and then you can pretty much afford Greyhound and Gator Legs just off that one sell. But again, like I said, with the solo build, I'm going to prioritize mobility first and my weapon traits. So those are the two things, and then pack mule, especially running the traps. So I'm going to go for Gator Legs, I'm going to go for Greyhound, I'm going to go for my Scope Smith, I'm going to go for pack mule, all pretty early on there. Ideally, if I can almost start with those traits. And sometimes you can get enough points to do that, to start with those, and then you've got a great solo hunter right off the bat. And then going from there, what I'm probably going to focus on next is I'm going to go for Serpent so that I can start stealing me some bounties. I've gotten really good at that. Can steal bounties, even get kills and get out of there, and it really helps you earn some money as a solo. It's a good trait. Then after that, what am I going to do? A lot of times I'm going to go for the stealth traits. So I prioritize mobility, weapons, some of the tool traits like the Pat Mule, then I'm going to start prioritizing stealth because that's really important for solo. So then I will go with the kitty cat trait there. Often, if I don't have the dual wield Silent Nagants, then I'm also going to grab Silent Killer, because that's a must-have. You need to be able to take out AI without a hunter, being able to hone in on you that you might not know is within range, because I believe you can hear running like 75 meters out. Of course, there's nothing you can do about that unless they add a trait at some point, but I doubt it because it's so important to the balancing of the game. But somebody correct me on this. It seems like you can hear somebody meleeing a zombie at least 50, if not at the same 75 meter mark. So you can hear that melee pretty far out. And then what I'm going to go for after that is I'm just going to start going for stuff that is going to make quality of life easier. So then I might start focusing on the health traits. In this case, I went with the Frontiersman as well. Often I do not get that because you can only stock up so much, and there's only so many toolboxes out there. But it can make it fun to be able to lay down a bunch of death traps in one location if you come upon it. Pitcher is kind of a Gucci trait. As a solo, you're not throwing a lot of nades all the time, so not necessarily necessary. So I'm going to go for Doctor, Physician a lot of times as some of my last traits that I'm going to pick up. But that kind of leaves you with a few slots to play around with depending on what you feel like you need for the fun of it. Forgot to mention Necromancer and the Resilience trait, I believe is what it's called, with the dual skeleton hands there. It allows you to get rezzed with full health, but in the case of a solo, of course, you're going to be using the Necromancer to solo res. I know it gets a lot of hate, but again, it's one of the last traits I go for because I find it one of the least beneficial. It is a rare time that I honestly get downed as a solo, so I really don't need that trait a lot. And by that point, honestly, I'm ready to start a new hunter almost. It gets kind of boring when you're playing level 50. I find it a lot more fun to be able to kind of start anew and build up a new one. So I will skip Necro a lot of times, but that will be one of the late traits that I get is the Necromancer trait, because honestly, it's really more for making mistakes against AI, or you accidentally blow up a barrel or something and kill yourself. It's really more beneficial in those. Otherwise, if you get down by a hunter that's any good, you're just giving them free kills if you're rezzing yourself. I do have some interesting escapes, though, can make for some fun. So that is kind of my rationale for all my traits there. If you stuck in here until the end, thanks for watching. I know this isn't the most exciting one, but if you're trying to up your game, I promise that some of these tips will help you out, especially if you're struggling in solo or you want to try to get better at solo. It's really going to help you out with that. I don't have the best KDA, but that's because I don't have a Smurf account. It's also because I play nothing but randoms. And nothing against randoms, I obviously like it, but, that's hit or miss, and so, that doesn't help the KDA out that much. But also, if you're not D-ranking and you're not playing with the Smurf account, theoretically, a 6-star playing against other 6-stars is going to be trading a lot with other 6-stars, so that's going to plateau your KDA. Where I'm going with this is that I definitely feel like I'm one of the better solo players out there, despite people saying BS if your KDA isn't this or that. I call BS on that. Those are people that, if they're not cheating, they're at least exploiting the system. I play on Xbox Series X. You get all the PC Master Race people hating out there. But honestly, I wish they enabled crossplay with that so that we could put our money where our mouth's at and just show them how well some of us console players can hang in there with PC players, because I definitely think some of us can. Anyway, I digress. What's some few quick pointers I can give here in the end?